Mr. X with the Extreme channel here. I have a time traveler with me. What would you do if you could time travel? For sure, I would go back and, lay some bets like Marty McFly did. Get rich-er. I would probably go redo some regrets, some mistakes. But I'll tell you what I would do most. I would go back and punch people in the face that I was always hesitant when You know what? Sometimes I wish I could time travel during these reviews and not say things I shouldn't say. Mr. X with the Extreme channel here. I have a time traveler with me. What would you do if you could time travel? For sure, I would go back and, lay some bets like Marty McFly did. Get rich-er. I would probably go redo some regrets, some mistakes. I would try and make the world a better place as well. But today we're not going to talk about me or you time traveling, even though I'd love to know in the links below, the notes below. We're going to talk about this time traveler. And as you see, he's got a little something something on him. Let's do it. Mr. X with the Extreme channel here reviewing XM Studios quarter scale cable statue from Marvel. So first of all, quarter scale means it's 1/4 the size of it is in real life. Second, there's some few additional custom options added that we're going to talk about later. I purchased him a while ago and I didn't buy him brand new. I bought him secondhand. He originally retailed for 1,000 Singapore dollars, just under that, which is about 750 to 800 US dollars depending on exchange rate. Plus, because this is not licensed in America, you have to use overseas shipping. I bought him secondhand. I think I got him right at $1,050, so pretty much close to retail, which you rarely see. However, you might see that more and more because Sideshow is actually coming out with a quarter scale cable piece. Here's a picture of it right here. I personally like this one better, and I added some customs to like it even more, which we will talk about. But before that, let's talk about who Cable is. Cable is a mutant. He's a mutant from the future. He's a time traveler. Some of his abilities vary from comic to comic, but he's kind of like Jean Grey. He can move stuff with his mind. He can also read people's minds, although you usually don't see him display that too much. For example, in the new Deadpool 2 movie, you didn't see that at all. You mainly saw his other powers, such as his marksmanship, his ability to hand-to-hand combat, and of course he has a cybernetic arm, kind of like Winter Soldier, that allows him to really kick ass. But I went ahead and purchased him, even though I'm not a huge fan of the character. I did it to go with my X-Force display. Here's a picture of it right here. This is Cable, even though he's not in his X-Force outfit, with X-Force Wolverine and X-Force Deadpool. One of my favorite setups right here. So XM Studios made 1,000 of these. It's their old 999 ES. I believe they made 1,000 of it. I'd have to look at the base, and I'm not planning to anytime soon. But a little more history on Cable, too, how he got to where he is in the future. But he originally grew up in a town called Astoria, where he had a lot of different adventures, mainly with his younger brother, or Samwise. And they did, pirate ships and fought criminals. And then as he got older, he married a wonderful woman who ended up sleeping with Richard Gere, and that kind of drove him over the edge. So he sought out all these Infinity Stones eventually and wiped out half the universe. A little bit of history behind him. Some of you may have got that, some of you may have not got that. I'm tired. I'm always tired. I'm going caffeine free today. You should be proud of me. I have no idea when this is going to air, but I've had him for a while, and I recently decided to do the review because I got some custom pieces. The cape and a teddy bear, which we're going to talk about when we get closer to the concept and design. I'm still missing my tape measure. I filmed something yesterday, so I don't know the height or the depth or width, but I'm not going to guess. I guessed on this Sabretooth review, and I was so damn close. I was really impressed. But check out XM Studio's website. They'll tell you in centimeters the height, depth, and width on this piece. The base is one piece, and if I remember properly, one of the base pieces, yeah, the wing or whatever this is, comes out. Cable is one piece himself, minus his arms, and then of course the custom cloak and the teddy bear are separate pieces. Now he did come with a number of switch outs, and they're all for his arms, so let's look at those. First switch out right here is his cybernetic arm with his arm extended holding a big ass gun. You can switch out his left arm there where it's still his cybernetic arm and he's resting an even bigger ass gun on his shoulder. His right arm, you can have him holding a big ass gun pointed up, or he can have that big ass gun pointed down hanging at his side. Then the custom switch outs I actually put on here. One is this cloak, which is posable, and I still haven't got it down yet, but here's a close-up of it. And then also here is the teddy bear, which belonged to his child who was killed. Let's talk about that in the concept and design of this piece, because there's a lot of things I'm not familiar with on what's going on with this piece, but I just love it. It's an XM Studios, great paint, great sculpt. Like I said, it goes well with my collection. And realistically, here he is posing. This is a museum pose, and he's sitting on some type of engine or bomb or plane. It's kind of unclear what this actually is because it has a small wing, but it definitely has an engine, a thruster to it. And it's broken, it's busted, and it's on this concrete cement that you saw below. And he's standing on top of it. Maybe it was, he time travels with his watch, so I don't think it was a time travel machine. But he's standing on top of it, fully geared out with all of his weapons, from knives and bombs and grenades and bullets, and a big ass machete on the side, and some other stuff we're gonna look at close with the paint and sculpt. And just a badass look on his face. He does have a cybernetic eye as well. And he's shooting, he's attacking, depending which pose you put him in. Really represents Cable well. It doesn't look like the comic version of Cable as far as his profile. But I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot better than Sideshow's coming out. The one thing I actually really like on Sideshows, I like the time travel portals behind it. I know some people don't, and I like the exclusive with Deadpool reaching through it, because Cable is commonly associated with Deadpool. So this could be in the future, this could be, you know, in the days of future past. Who knows when this is? It may be in his current time period, which would be his time period, but our future, if that makes sense. So conceptually, I think it's perfect for Cable. It showcases his power. It shows what a badass he is. He's very large, which I think he is in the comics as well, so that plays well, even though he is a quarter scale. Like I said, I didn't get the measurements. Design-wise, really the only issue I had is his left foot here doesn't fully go in. You can see the key below it. Kind of a pain in the ass. But otherwise, really, really good. Let's talk about the custom stuff that I added on. So first you have this cloak right here, and you saw a close-up of it, and just to kind of give you an idea, this is, it goes in over his head. And it has three different long wires in it, so it's posable any way you want. And it's tattered on the bottom. Here's a close-up picture of two, almost looks like burn marks, which I like that they added that. And then here is the bear. Here's some close-ups of it. It's done awesome. It's very dirty, as a, you know, kind of reminds me of Deadpool 2, the movie. Still furry, worn. Has this neat little belt buckle type thing that holds it in. It doesn't hold it in very well, so you got to be careful around it. But I think he looks great with or without it. For me, because I've had him for probably a year and a half, I like it with because it's something different. So I will definitely display him with. The cost on this was like 150 bucks shipped, so it was pretty pricey for what you're paying for it, but it adds a statue to a new level. And for me, instead of purchasing a new Cable statue, it saved me a lot of money. because you know I usually don't like to get rid of old ones. Let's jump into the paint and sculpt of this guy, because this is where it's really, he knocks it out of the park. It's done really well. It's one of XM's best pieces, which is why this typically goes for a lot of money, which makes me wonder if the resale value will hold with sideshows coming out. But starting at the base, as we usually do, right here, check out the concrete he's standing on. So this, I shouldn't use the word concrete, but it's stone. So it's not a street or anything like that, but I really like it. There's a lot of variations in it. It's not very textury like rocky or anything, but these different colors really make it pop. It's a tiny, tiny part of the base, but I love the different colors. I love the flow to it. It looks really good. Again, it looks somewhere like the engine crashed and kind of burned up a little. And speaking of the engine, some really cool stuff on here. First of all, there's a tribute to Wolverine, 3 slash marks. Kind of a hidden Easter egg on there. But it's these purples and blues, and you see all the different circuitry and vents and wiring. And then on the front here, look at the thruster. And it has even a little bit of orange, like it was just running, almost on fire. On the other side here, you have some cables coming out of cable's base. See what I did there? Some are static, some you can move around a little bit. And again, some more dials and circuitry behind that. Then back here you have these kind of pistons and engine parts and wing. The wing I talked about that was removable coming out. All looks great. And it's kind of this purple overlay with this blue to kind of match some of Cable's colors we're going to see in a second. But it doesn't, but it contrasts it in a really good way. Check out his futuristic army boots here. It's kind of a poo color. This greenish light brown, and then some leathery color on the side, and his tread is almost metallic. Very buff, very cool looking boots with these buckles, 6 buckles on the front of it. I don't know what a time traveler would wear, but this looks good to me. Then moving up to his pants, very bunched up because he has them tucked into his boots. So they did great with the folds there, and there's almost some patchwork on some of his pants and some seams riding up. And just like most superheroes, he has knee pads because they must need them a lot. There's some jokes in there. But good looking pants. But where this statue really starts to get awesome is all of his accessories. So on his right leg here, he has these 4 leather pouches with straps on the front. And there's a strap on the back holding it onto his leg that looks real, and this is fully sculpted, and it's this leathery color. And right above that, 2 much bigger pouches with a different leather color, almost a little bit of green. There's stitching on there and buttons. And then behind him here, he has, you know, almost what you'd take camping with PJ. Now these straps, these brown straps actually are mixed media, so I do worry about the longevity of them, but they're not used to hold up this huge pack and almost a tent or whatever that is, and if he's a time traveler that makes sense, but just really, really cool detail. And the disadvantage to the custom cloak I got is it covers this stuff up. But check out his pouches on his left side, huge machete right here. It is not removable, but looks really cool. And again, I'm just giving you guys to soak in. I could talk about it, but it's just cooler to look at it. And then let's get to his torso area here. Actually, we forgot about his package. Let's check that out. Part of that is cybernetic, I've heard. But good detail in his pants again. Kind of a fold over zipper effect there. But above you see some grenades on his belt. The belt looks like real leather. The grenade's really worn. Cable always seems like a dirty guy. But moving up on his torso, you got a couple things going on. First, let's talk about his shirt. Awesome, awesome texture on his shirt. Some rips and tears. And then you see the folds and you see his 6-pack. So great sculpt. I like the blue color they chose. Like I said, it contrasts well with the pants and the engine below. And then let's look at his pouches here. Really good job. I like the fact they have grenades on the side. Again, they're kind of almost all the pouches seem like a different color in different areas of his body, which adds effect to it. And these straps on the middle of his body, holding everything together. Looks so cool. The clasps. Then moving up even farther, he has these X symbols, which insinuates he's probably with the X-Men at this time. Let's move on to his cybernetic arm here. Awesome, awesome arm. This is so cool. The gears and the circuitry running throughout. The plates, how they hook together. Big fan of this. And I know people have done some custom ones which would probably look even cooler because they're more metallic. But I like this color. It's worn and dirty. The silver mixed in with the black, and there's some golds in there. Moving all the way, he has his bracelet, and I think this is like his time-traveling bracelet, and he has it on his other hand as well, but his fingers look fantastic, very Terminator-like. The guns look good. I've seen better looking guns, but I don't know what futuristic guns look like, so there's not a ton of detail on here, but it looks good. It just seems a little basic when you're examining it close. And then check out his other gun here that we have him displayed with. Same exact thing, a little more detail on this one. And it's similar with the other guns. Check out his gloves. Great sculpt on his gloves. I like the color of it. You see some of the folds in there. Very tight. And again, his time-traveling bracelet with the gold in the middle. And then look at how buff he is. Veins with a hint of blue in there. And the pinks and skin colors running all up his arm, showing off his biceps and triceps and muscles that I'll never have. Then on his shoulder, he has this these grenades, even bigger grenades. Cool effect. Works with either of the two switch outs. And then his collar has like this, reminds me of a car seat. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It looks good, but it's this puke brown leather couch color. His hair looks good, shows his age. He's a silver fox with some black running through it, kind of this army-like military crew cut. Awesome job on his portrait. Again, they show how muscular he is. You see his veins running through his neck. And again, they added that tint of blue on all those great skin colors. And his face almost looks a little dirty, so I think there's some paint to dirty it up in there. And you see his trachea and esophagus, or whatever the other one's called, and his Adam's apple. Really good, very lean. And then the expression on his face, I think, is perfect. He's concentrated, he's a little mad, he's killing someone, his lips are pursed together, he almost has a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow that's painted on. You can see the expression from his cheekbones to the wrinkles in his forehead. His eyebrows, same color as his hair. Then check out his eyes. His right eye has the classic scar around it. Classic of Cable, but great job on his eye, looks real. Then his left eye is robotic eye, also very cool. Big fan of that. Some detail up close that is just amazing. So that's XM Studios Cable. Again, I thought it'd be a good time to review it. I don't know when this is dropping, but with sideshows coming out, some people might have a decision to make. Let me know which way you're leaning. I will not be getting sideshows, so there will be no Extrumble. But if you were going to buy one, all things being equal, would you go this guy, that one, or would you go this custom one right here that just came out? Check this out. This is pretty badass. Everyone loved the pose on this. I actually dislike the pose. That's why I practice #restraint. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Really appreciate you watching. If you're not a subscriber, go ahead and hit subscribe. I have tons of old stuff and tons of new stuff coming in, plus some cool segments that we've been dropping lately. Really appreciate it. Take care.